Yeah, so we are getting excited actually about for the first time being in a position to do a regular schedule. So I mean, we've got the house model nailed down. We're gonna go September 1 is the builder crash course. Now November 1, we're gonna do the second one. So it's part of the fact that we're teaching people to build real homes, and that's going to be basically every 2 months in the program itself, the apprenticeship, where we're teaching a crew of 24 to build each one of these houses in only 5 days. It's part of that immersion experience. So we've got starting with this 2 week intense walk through all the different steps, and then we're building homes, and then in like 6 weeks after that, you go into the next one. So you're really focusing on the rapid ability to learn all the techniques and get our people productive to achieve the impossible of the 5 day builds with 24 people. So
Wonderful. Yeah, I'm
yeah.
happy to be able to help out with the OSE Linux a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. And then actually, so the next one after that, gets into the cold winter, but we're building a heated workshop, which is almost done. And the next one, therefore, is going to be February 1st. So basically a regular schedule. Then start next year early, where that's still freezing cold. But February 1st, we're planning on the third builder crash course. So we're going to continue that regular. I don't see why we will not. We will stop that. I think that's an extremely valuable experience for a lot of people. So as far as it goes right now, we're going to continue that. Yeah.
That's great. And all the houses are being built on the factory farm there.
So that's exactly right. However, it's being built in such a way that we can take that house and actually move it on a trailer. So it's a starter home that's 800 square feet, but it's built in such a way that we can actually move it to a different site. So it's kind of
Aha.
self-contained. So actually, what we can do is, if we need extra infrastructure, which we actually don't for specifically with those kinds of homes, because they're like just family homes, we're building a residence for like 24 students, so that's like more cluster development. So as far as the houses that we build during these workshops, we can actually either use as demos, which we may save this one as a demo, but we're also actually opening up the option that we can move it on a trailer with a telehandler. You pick it up and then move it to a different sites, like you see those big homes on the highways.
Sure, sure. We don't see that around in New Jersey much, but I know I've seen videos.
Yep, yep. Yeah, exactly. So that's where we are now, and it's looking actually quite exciting. In fact, we're trying to crack the nut of how do you solve housing. It's the problem is that nobody builds, so nobody gets the hands on. But we're really encouraging that. So here's like the most optimized techniques for you to do it. And then the second part is today I was just conceptualizing. This is hot off the press. The free house. Like, how do you get a house at how do you turn housing into a zero marginal cost society kind of endeavor? If you've heard of Jeremy Rifkin's zero marginal cost society, have
Hmm.
you heard of that?
It rings a bell. I don't know much about it,
Okay.
but I've heard about
Yeah.
Rifkin.
I mean, just like with the software world, we're pushing the limits for what you can do with hardware. Now, one way to approach it, because I mean, the build part is formidable, but what if? And this is what we're actually going to start publicizing this. And that is, and it also can solve the volunteer issue. So, okay, just come to us, take the crash course, volunteer with us whenever we have build days. Start building up your hours in as little as 800 hours of volunteer time. So that would mean like a weekend for 2 years. We'll build you a house for free, a starter home. You pay for materials, but you've paid the hours, enough sweat equity for us to build you a simple home. So actually, we're going to roll this out, which is actually quite exciting. I think there could be some traction in it. It's not going to be too much, but I mean, we got to keep. I think we really got to give people the opportunities to build and get reskilled. Otherwise, society is doomed. So
So it's your guy. What you're talking about is similar to the idea of time banking,
yeah,
right?
time
Like,
bank.
great. Yeah, I think that's a good way to proceed for sure.
Yeah. So that's yeah, lots of things happening. Yeah. So let's talk about the Linux now. The relevant parts are yeah, a development environment for all the stuff we do. So you got CAD, you got everything. One interesting thing we're gonna deploy. So November and December, we're gonna have basically do an open source skid steer. So we're actually getting geared up for that. In that, there's gonna be, I mean, just a regular software stack, but there could be other things As for one, it's absolutely we need the Linux for collaborative development, so nobody's messing around installing software. And then there are like some marginal things, like for example, you're talking about Qux for circuit simulation. Now that may be relevant when we're doing some of the electronics. KiCad is definitely related to that because we're going to do remote control on this thing. Remote control with automated grading capacity. So we're actually building a team for that. We're making some progress on that. So it's pretty crazy. But in general, it's if we get the base Linux, that's fine for now because we can always add stuff later. Like, I think a lot is going to emerge once we start the apprenticeship starts September 1. Once we actually get into the new and improved versions of the design build sprints, then like other software needs might emerge. But for now, we're good. We just need a common platform, just an update of the Linux.
Yeah, and I'm happy to say, what we do to roll our own version of open source Ecology Linux, we use this software called Cubic, and that's the custom Ubuntu image creation tool. And that lets us select a base image like we're using now, Linux Mint 22.1. And it turns out that pretty much the entire essential list of 30 or so software packages, applications for the open source ecology work are really just smoothly integrated into the latest long-term support version of Linux Mint. And for me, it's the OS I use as my Linux daily driver as well. So I think it's a great choice. And so where it's at right now is that I have a release candidate ready for the for this September event. And so I would like to transfer it to you. I would like to kick off the transfer while we're talking, if possible.
Let's do it. So let's just get right in on what I need to do then.
So right now, open up a terminal. And this is that there's a couple of things. It's rough around the edges a little bit. It doesn't, of all things, it doesn't have a web browser right now. And also the Cura Lulzbot edition isn't integrated into the system properly yet. It's not in the start menu, but you can open it from the terminal, and that's really the most important thing to me. Is I want you to test anything that involves a peripheral device like a 3D printer that make sure that actually works before we release the final version of this. Because I know there's some things around, like there used to be like some user mod setting that you would have to do per user. In that case, I may have to set up like a post install script. So, but if it just works, I wouldn't be surprised. And let's find out. So I'm going to let me see here. So I'll go into my terminal, and so I sent you the email about Magic Wormhole, the software. Yeah. Did you install that?
No, I didn't get a chance. Can we do it right now? Or?
Yeah, if you want, if you just Google Magic Wormhole, it'll pop right up. It's a Python package, and there's instructions. It can install with apt. It's just apt install magic-homebrew. But just double check me on that, and I'll get it ready.
Your instructions in the email.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now what to do. After you install it, you just have to install the software to be able to use the command on the command line, and then I'll tell you. So basically what this does is it creates a single-use password, and I'm going to tell you what that is, and then you should be able to start downloading it.
Okay.
And let me know when it's installed, and I'll tell you the command.
Okay, so let me just do that. Okay, so it's installed.
Great. So and then in the terminal, type wormhole receive,
One
like
word.
two words. The word wormhole space, the word
Receive.
receive, then space, and then the number 8 dash Inferno dash Oakland, and hit enter.
Okay. Receiving file. Okay. Yeah. So wormhole is, what is that, like a P2P? What is
Yeah,
wormhole?
yeah, it's a peer-to-peer file transfer.
Okay.
So we can see this is going at about a megabyte a second, so that's not so bad. And this, my computer on this end is wired Ethernet, so it should the connection will stay live for the time it takes. Now, right now,
Mm-hmm.
I would like us to work this way. Once we know that, especially like I said, I think Kira Lulzbot is the biggest
Yeah.
uncertainty to me. Once we know all that works, we could actually put this up on DistroWatch, which is the site for hosting Linux distributions.
Okay. Cool.
And so
Do that.
I think at this point it's mature enough for us to do that based on I just tested it on like a 12-year-old Asus laptop I have.
Okay.
Just, I know we're interested in making sure that it is compatible with a very wide range of hardware.
Mm-hmm.
So, so far that testing looks very good to me.
That's good. That's great. So are we going to wait just because it's only 1% received, 2% received? Should we wait or should we?
So I mean, in a very lo-fi way, I can basically show you
Yeah. Yeah.
what we have so far.
Mm-hmm.
So here, if I go to the applications menu, that one QUCS Cux or however you pronounce it, Quux or whatever, then that is under education for whatever reason. But we did get that working.
Can you go? Can you go to your? Oh no. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Go ahead. Just go ahead. Keep going. Keep going. So,
And then under electronics here, we see
Mm-hmm.
Arduino IDE, Fritzing, and KiCad. And then graphics, we have Blender, we have XF to G code, FreeCAD, Inkscape, LibreCAD, GIMP, MeshLab, OpenSCAD, and Sweet Home 3D.
Yeah.
And we have regular Office programs here. Here's Gazebo,
Mm-hmm.
and VS Code, and we have the Python extensions in VS Code. But we should probably double check that. And here we see some more. There's a little bit duplicative, but here's QGIS,
Mm-hmm.
sound and video. We have Audacity, we have Handbrake, KDen Live, OBS. Simple screen recorder, VocoScreen,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's pretty much the whole show. And everything's just there. And like I do want, so I'm really not the user of this stuff. I know how to make the distro. I don't really know how to test the ink cut plugin in Inkscape, all that other stuff.
Yeah, that's fine.
So yeah, not right this second, but that's, once it's done loading for you, I'd love for you to just kick the tires on it. And I have a punch list right now. Like I said, I have to install either I'll use ungoogled Chromium like we had in the last version, or I'm trying to get something else called Libre Wolf on there, which is like Firefox without the Mozilla telemetry. If I can't get that, I think Firefox is just probably the best choice unless you have a need for Chrome.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So Firefox is like the native Linux Mint browser.
So one thing I noticed I don't know if it's with my system, but I got Linux Mint 22.1. The fonts for some reason on Google Docs, when I have, for example, Ubuntu Condensed, does not render in Chromium, but it does render properly. I did another one, and it does render properly within Falcon, for example, browser. Have you ever seen anything?
I'm not familiar with Falcon. But we can. There's no harm in having multiple browsers.
Right. I just want to make sure we have one where the fonts. I never had to configure that before, and Falcon didn't require any configuration, but for some reason Chromium, I can't get the font to display properly. But we'll test that. But tell us a little more about Cubic, how that process works.
Yeah, so let me pull it up here on my screen as
Well
well on
then,
another screen. So I basically have surrounded by computers, which is a
okay,
good thing to do when
okay,
you're working on this.
okay.
Like I have a Linux Mint system that I'm doing it on, and that helps me check out the way certain things are configured under the hood.
Mm-hmm.
One of the first and foremost things to say about Cubic is that literally everything you do is in the terminal. Everything is on the command line. There's no
Mm-hmm.
graphical user interface
Okay.
for this process, with the one very, very thin exception, which is so here's here, let me
Can you screen
uh
share from that, or can you log into that one to screen share better, or is that useful?
um
Or if not, that's okay.
yeah, let's see how I can uh let me see if I can do that. Hold on a moment. I should be able to. Let me see if I can. Hold on one moment. I'm just going to do this in a semi-manual process, which is well. Let me just keep explaining this while I go on.
Yeah.
So this is we use something called a chroot,
Yep.
CHROOT,
Mm-hmm.
and what we're doing is creating a not a virtual machine, not a virtual environment, but literally a um, an, um, a very specialized environment
Mm-hmm.
that's only for the purpose of rolling your own Linux distribution. For our purposes, is the easiest way to think about it.
Okay.
It's the only reason you would ever do this. And it's so what Cubic is, it's a graphic user interface wrapper around this ch root tool. So let me
Mm-hmm.
see if I can get this screen share set up. One moment. I have three
Mm-hmm.
keyboards right now, so I have some switching challenges. Okay, let's see. Box. Okay, I'm asking to join,
Okay.
and let me just mute this so we don't get feedback. So you see, I guess that's a webcam shot. Okay, hold on. Let's turn camera off. Screen share. Cubic. All right, there. So, can you see that custom Ubuntu ISO creator?
Yep.
So this is the tool, and this is something you can just install from whatever your package software like. It would be software manager in
Mm-hmm.
Linux Mint, for example, or just apt install Cubic or your package
Yep.
manager. So once you're there, you create a folder, a working folder, and so I created a folder called Cubic 2025. And so then when you go to next, this brings you to a place where you choose your base distribution.
Aha.
So here we see that I've chosen Linux Mint 22.1 Cinnamon, and we discussed what window manager we wanted, and we decided to go with Cinnamon.
Yep.
And so that you see there. And this is just all hard coded on the left. Once you get that, then over on custom on this side on the right is where we are naming our own flavor. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
the one that I'm just magic wormholing over to right now is RC2, and it just has these
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
naming conventions, and I gave it a release name just saying what it's based on. And so then the next step when you go to customize is it brings you to this virtual environment. And now here is where
Mm-hmm.
you can do the work of customizing layering on top, adding on and removing whatever it is you want to change
Okay.
to make your own distribution. So I wrote up almost all the changes, and that's one of the other things I'm working on now. Is there's one change related to getting that Lulzbot integration that I'm still trying to get programmatically done. That there's like I have to use like awk instead or something. So that's like very esoteric Linux stuff. It's doable. It's one of the things I haven't gotten to yet.
Okay.
Here I've gone and made an install script. I've updated the wiki. So if you go to OSE Linux now on the wiki, it's the install script that I ran from here. So I go here and I basically take what's on the wiki, and what's on the wiki isn't perfect. I'm gonna keep it updated as we go through the releases, the candidates. But we can see here, like, let's see if I do ls. Yeah, so here's this. I've created a file called OSE Linux 2025 install scripts.sh. I put all that code that's on the wiki into that file, and then I just said dash OSE Linux that file. And then it ran and it installed all 30 packages and did the extensions and so on and so forth. And so I've been working through that script and making sure that that's also that's really like an alternate way someone could use build their own system.
Right. So I see the script on the wiki.
Yeah.
That's cool. The OSE Linux. So this is all the custom, and you named it what? You named it the
Cubic is where the well, there's OSE Linux. So now the old OSE Linux documentation, I moved to a new page called OSE Linux 2.0 from 2020 is the name of that stuff. And the top level OSE Linux is now the live documentation of what we're doing here.
Okay. So it's basically telling it, okay, just command line, flat pack, remote add, like all this, whatever, install various things.
Yeah. Yeah, anything. I went by the anything that was in the Ubuntu package ecosystem, more or less, I installed right from there. And then anything that wasn't, I followed the provider's recommendation.
So how do you end up doing customizations, like for example adding the ink cut thing to Inkscape? How do you do that, for example?
Sure. So let's
and like say OSE logo. Tell me more about the customizations.
So that stuff, those customizations I haven't done yet. But let's see what I can tell you. So if I look up ink cut, if you look, I just looked up ink cut extension, and then it says, Inkscape ink cut. It said that I had to do a couple of things. So I went and I looked up. Let me see what I found here.
So you basically just add that into the script.
Exactly. I just look up whatever it says to do and I add it into the script.
Yeah.
Right, here it is. I just went straight to the, if you go to GitHub as ink cut on there, it says, that links you to the docs. And I went through the ink cut docs and I went to installing in the ink cut docs. And it says, first you have to install dependencies. And it says, for example, on Ubuntu, and then, Linux Mint is Ubuntu-like. So I just took exactly those apt install dependencies that it lists, and I added those to the, I think I put them as those at the top level. That's like all the Python, pip, Python 3, this and that, and pipx, which is what we use to install it. So I didn't follow the instructions exactly. I went and I tried to do the instructions in this chroot environment. And for example, here's what happens. I'm going to do exactly what, following the instructions, it said I should run this command, pip3 install -- upgrade ink cut. So this was my real world experience. I went here and I entered that, and it gave me all this. It says, whoa, this environment's externally managed. If you want to install this system-wide, you better do this or that. And, If you think this is a mistake, this and that. And so what when we're doing certain kinds of installations, it's somewhat brittle being in the chroot environment, but it's not that big a deal if you know Python. So Python has this other tool called pipex, and that allows you to install things to use system-wide, like what we want to be doing here, without modifying the system Python environment.
Okay.
So knowing that, I added pipex into the dependencies. That was my own decision. That wasn't from any documentation. And then I used pipex to install InkCut instead.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
there are things like that. And even it says it may be easiest to use pipex install. So this is, I mean, I was following the chain of what happens and what's recommended. As far as doing the other kinds of customizations, the most important thing to know, or one of the more important things, is that as we're doing things like adding other extensions, I think the VS Code extensions are a great example. Those are ending up in hidden directories in the user home folder. But when we're in the chroot environment, there's no such thing as a home user yet. And that is one of the other most important conceptual things here. What we are doing is we are creating a live image. So we are creating an ISO that you could put onto a USB drive and install. And it's like that try it or buy it environment where it gives you the environment and then it has a thing to install it onto your hard drive.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And only when you choose to install it onto your hard drive do you choose your own username.
Mm-hmm.
And it's at that point that your user directory is created.
Okay.
So what happens here is that, as you can see, these in blue are these dot whatever hidden directories that had been created after I ran the script. That was the state of the root home user directory. So there's another place where it is the cookie cutter for the user that gets generated when you decide to install it to your hard drive. And that place is called etsy/skel or /etsy/skel. So if I go there, CD, I forgot the CD, etsy/skel, then we can see here there's nothing, but if I do the ls-a, or I'll do it -al to match what we saw above, you can see some of these same .config, .local. Now those, and there should be a .vs code too. So I don't know why that's not there, but I have to check the script and figure that out. So that's a good note. Let me just check my .vs code. Okay, so that might have been a late breaking change that I haven't done, and that's coming up in the next release. But anyway, so what you do is, what I did was manually copy over these .local and .config hidden folders from the root user to etsy/skel. So now the stuff that's in there will be there in a good way in the user's home directory on first launch when you do install it on your hard drive.
So what's etsy/skel? Did you create that directory or did
No, etsy/skel, that is a Linux convention. That is the best practice, the maybe only way to achieve this goal of deciding what is in the user's home directory on when they first install the operating system.
Okay. Can you show some items from FreeCAD, such as the piping workbench that we added?
So we didn't do any. I didn't see. So good. I'm so glad you asked that, because in the spreadsheet that we looked at, it's not none of those add-ons were listed.
Okay. Would you mind looking through? There's only like a few of them in FreeCAD. Can you dig up the stuff that we had before in FreeCAD, because that was all useful stuff.
So yeah, like I'm gonna have to review how to add those though. I'm not sure how to off the top of my head how we did that. So I'm gonna have to look back into that again.
Mm-hmm. Is
But
that going to take too much time? Because I mean, we can install it ourselves too. They're not necessarily something we use uh, at startup of the program, but we will want that later
let's
on.
see. Let me see
Yeah,
what I can
if
find
it's
here because I have some.
too much work, just you can start without it. That's fine. We'll have enough of a learning FreeCAD 1 already. So
Okay, OSE piping workbench. Let me see if I can do this right now.
mm-hmm.
So I'm going to. I have some old notes, and we'll try it right here live. And this is just some. So I'm going to just cd into my root directory. That's like the normal. That's where you land when you're doing Cubic. And I'm going to run this command. So I've just got the piping workbench,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'm going to run this command to get the drawing and dimensioning workbench. Okay, unable to locate certain packages. Interesting.
They might be deprecated. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay, so let's see what happens if we. Yeah. Let's just try without those dependencies then. And we'll get that. Get exploded assembly. We'll get fasteners. Now I'm going to unzip fasteners. Actually, wait a second. I didn't do all the steps. Let's see. What do I have right now? Okay, here's all this stuff and so let's make here's exactly how we do this.
Mm-hmm.
Where these files should end up is in, so I'll say tilde to represent the user directory, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like whoever you are. Tilde slash dot capital F free, capital C, capital A, capital D, FreeCAD, slash capital M, and then lowercase od. So tilde slash FreeCAD slash mod. And so what I'm going to do here is first going to create a dot FreeCAD directory locally. Well, actually, here what I'll do is make dir -p, which creates directories and subdirectories automatically, and I'll create that directory structure
Mm-hmm.
in the root home directory first, and then I'm going to move all these things into that directory, and then I'll decompress after.
Why is the fasteners in red? Because
so blue is directories and red is because that's a compressed file, and it still needs to be decompressed. So we're going to move all that into the dot FreeCAD slash mod. Now we'll go into there. And so here we'll unzip the fasteners. Cannot file zip, blah, 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 blah. Well, that's weird. I think we got a little bit of an error there. I'm going to try grabbing it again. So it looks like we have a bug with the fasteners. Let's see.
Maybe that got deprecated in FreeCAD 1 or something.
Possibly, yeah.
Yeah.
Or no, this doesn't even have anything to do with FreeCAD 1. The compressed file is just not decompressing properly.
Do you need to decompress it? Maybe, is there any possibility that it can work compressed?
Possibly, probably not. But my old instructions had uncompressing it as part of it. Exactly the same command that I'm not able to successfully run now. So that's a little surprising to me. Okay, so now I see that we also have some other stuff to do here. One moment, I'm sorry. Okay, so now we're going to try to do the DXF importer, I guess, and see. Let's see. So here, this should be in the top level FreeCAD. So I'm going to go to the one directory up. I have a little bit of a typo here, I'm sorry. I need just this piece. Okay, now unzip that. Ugh. Well, that worked, so, you know, it seems like it's only with that other. And then one more thing we want is this ISO view. Okay, so now we have that .freecad. So now I'm going to get back into my home directory, and I'm going to copy that to, I'm going to recursively copy that. So cp-r.freecad to /etc/skel. And then we'll just go over and double check that that looks how we want it to look. So there's some of our stuff. And if we go into mod, there's the rest of our stuff. So that now will appear in the user directory. That'll also appear in the user's directory of the test of the live environment, I forgot to mention. So that's not only after you install, that's the demo state of when you're trying out the live ISO as well. So now we have to basically spin that ISO and try it to see that this actually works, though. We can't actually spin up a graphical user interface and do FreeCAD like this in Cubic. So that's part of the test life cycle here. Like that's why it's like this release candidate, that release candidate. But now my next step, having done that, is that now I want to go ahead and document what we just did in the script. So now I'm going to go back to my script and make it so that that's what the script does. So I'll go in and add a section for that. And then that'll show up on the wiki. I'm not gonna. I'll just show you what
on the wiki, okay.
How I'm cycling through it here. So I'm gonna just go back and say, okay, using the up arrow, which you can do in the terminal to cycle, you know, in a reverse chronological order through your recent commands. So I'm going to go all the way up to where make dir -p. That was really the beginning. Well, I guess I did the clone. I did it all in not the right order. But what I want to do really is do this first. So I'm going to grab that and paste that into my script document that I keep locally. Okay, I got that. And then I'm going to CD into there and not do all this move around stuff. I'll just CD into there, and then I'll git clone the stuff directly into my current directory, and then do the other stuff. So I'm getting that next. So first I make dir FreeCAD mod, then I change into that directory. Then I do this, make sure, okay, that was older stuff. That was showing off Etsy scale. Here we are. OSE Piping Workbench. Okay, got that. So the next command was the those non-working dependencies, and this one that may or may not work. And then we had this one, going dimensioning. Oh wait, did I do that one? Oh yeah, right, because we ran that twice, one without the failing command. Splitting assembly. Passwords. And then we did this couple other things here. CD dot dot. And then the XF importer. And then unzip that. And then the isometric view. And then that thing there. So that is going to go, I have like a whole line of where we're copying all those things. So I'll do that. I'll add that to that set of commands. CP-R. Recad. Okay. So now, basically, just for the sake of having a nice, clean image, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do the other things that are on the punch list. I'm going to add those all to the script.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to start fresh. I'm going to just completely wipe out my folder. I'm going to start fresh from 22.1. I'm going to run the script. And that way we know the script works. Yeah. And that way we know there's no cruft in there or anything. Like last time we got a little bit hung up on trying to get under 4 gigs and all this other stuff. So I'm trying to keep this like very elegant and just simple. So that is more or less a lesson on how to use Cubic. It's just doing that for anything that requires configuration over and above just a apt install. This is the sort of workflow, right?
That makes sense. So you just create a script, you run it in Cubic. For the documentation on the wiki, there's all OSE Linux now links to your current work. Make sure you have the links to 1.0 and 2.0 in there too when you're done. Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like for information about this one here, for information about that one here, for information about older here. Yes, absolutely.
Yep, that's good. Yeah, I mean that's pretty good. So thank you for that lesson, and that's pretty straightforward. But you gotta basically understand enough command line, but following a lot of these different install scripts from various sources, a novice should be able to do that. Just replicate. Okay, you just do a command line command, and you put it into the script. That's all. And the troubles would be when there's mistakes, right? And then what do you do? So you have to test that script, make sure everything runs properly. If there's mistakes, then you need more skill, but ideally you don't.
I would say the level of skill here would be someone that is familiar with the process of installing Linux.
Yeah.
And if you're that far ahead, you can wrap your head around the concept of, there's this user, this Etsy skell is there to create the user that you install after doing the live. If you're familiar, if you have that paradigm in your head already of the live installer and working that way, then that's a big leap to the sort of the learning curve, right? Which is like, the learning curve is mostly conceptual. When it comes to dealing with bugs, fixing, getting things that are a little bit tricky configured and so on and so forth. So same thing, there's going to be just a touch on the customizations for desktop wallpapers and logo and stuff. I'm going to try to squeeze that in, and if not, we just don't have it in time, and the software all works either way, right? But for those cosmetic bells and whistles, it's the same thing. I'm going to just look up how to do that in Linux Mint on the command line, right? Because there's always a way to do it graphically as well. But whichever way to do it on the command line, hopefully it's not, if there's a way to do it system-wide and not just for the current user, then that is the route.
And you just insert that into the script.
Yes, and you would just make sure that these changes are made in the proper path that Mint is expecting.
As far as just the directory work, like understanding where like for example, if you've got the OSE logo, right? Where in this entire process is this? So when you boot up Cubic, where do you put that logo? Like so it knows where to find it.
Okay, so I literally just Google or whatever your
Mm-hmm.
preferred search engine, Linux Mint custom logo.
Yeah,
And the
yeah.
first thing that I
Okay.
get is on the Linux Mint forums, how to change the boot slash logo. And it says, oh, here's an answer on Stack Exchange. So I go to Stack Exchange and it says, okay, you have to put it in user slash user
Mm-hmm.
slash share slash Plymouth slash themes.
Hmm. Okay. Yeah, so just Google whatever we need to find out and put it in. Mm-hmm.
And here we see a file called mint dash logo.
When you run this, tell me about this. Okay, so there's details there. When you run this script, the end product of that is a what is it? Is it an ISO created on your local computer?
Great. So after you run the script, you're just still here in this chroot terminal environment. That's what. Oh,
Okay.
let me share again if I am still
Okay.
in the meeting. I think I may have closed. No, here we are. Let me share again so that we can just talk a little bit more about it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so this is not the final step. After you run the script, you're here in this chroot terminal environment still.
Mm-hmm.
Once you've configured everything to your liking, you click next. Oh, and the one other user interface thing that I really, really want to mention is this copy files into the current directory. That lets you transfer files from your host operating system into this chroot environment. And that can become very useful, like, for example, loading in the JPEGs for the custom desktop wallpapers.
Okay.
So that's like a super easy way to do that. You just click that and you select the file or from your local file system and follow that process.
Mm-hmm.
Once you're done configuring everything on the command line, you hit next.
Okay.
It's going to basically go through the process of preparing the ISO.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's going to ask you for the compression scheme that you want to choose. And it gives you 5 different options of how to compress the ISO.
Mm-hmm.
I'm choosing gzip because it's a good compromise between compression size and decompression speed.
Okay.
So the highest compression takes a long time to decompress, which turns into a long time to load the live ISO from a USB.
Okay.
So so here it says, okay, what do you want to automatically remove? This, we're under 8 gigabytes. I'm not even going to touch that. I'm just going to leave all the defaults.
Uh-huh.
And then here asks what kernel we want to use. I'm going to choose the most recent kernel, which is the default. And then you get to the point of choosing your compression scheme. Now, if I were to hit generate, it's going to take about 10 or 15 minutes and cook up and spit out the ISO with an MD5 file along with it so that you can confirm, validate that it's properly downloaded.
Okay.
For where we put it up. That's just de rigueur for a distribution.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm not going to hit generate now because I want to go back and fix the other punch list items.
Okay.
But that's the entire Cubic
right.
workflow.
And then this ISO gets put where on your
That'll land
land
in the same work folder that you selected in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where it will appear. And then you can use, if you're on Mint like we are, you can just right click on the ISO. So I'll go to that folder here. It was here, Cubic 2025. And here it is. This is the one that I'm sending to you right now. So if I right click on that, I can just go to make bootable USB stick. Mm-hmm. It's built into Linux Mint. We don't even need Boolean etcher. The built-in works for all cases that I've tried.
Yep.
But also, before I do RC another release candidate, or we might just have the release, depending, I do want your feedback, application level feedback on all the important applications.
After downloading this and taking a look at it, yeah?
That's right, yeah, and it looks like we're about a
third of the way.
A third of the way, yeah, that sounds right. So it should be done in an hour or two, and then hopefully you can get a look at it in the next few days.
Yeah, I'll take a look at that and see if it all looks good. I mean, I'm just looking for all the basic functionality. We can boot up FreeCAD and things like that.
Yeah, yeah. And so yeah, the FreeCAD, obviously we don't have the plugins yet. Maybe
Yeah,
yeah, try this one and everything, but we can always try the
yeah,
plugins next time. And but there's a
yeah.
lot to learn here.
Not a
And the
problem. I mean,
Q,
as long as we've got the core functionality, that's what I'm really concerned about. It's, we're starting inch by inch, and then eventually we can make the, this will of course continue as we grow. We can even try to test actually going through the cubic process ourselves. Because we
yeah,
can
and we
with your script, we can simply replicate it. We can create it. I mean, that's a good exercise for our students. Just replicate this process, create an ISO. Hey, I just created an ISO myself with a custom distribution in 5 minutes. So,
that's right.
well,
Yeah,
because you
and
did
so
the hard
yeah,
work of, okay, so the script already has the content, the information content, the know-how, and we can keep building on it. And as people get, find other software, or they want to make tweaks in the existing, we can just incrementally add to the script file, right?
yes, and yes, exactly. And we're
That's
we
good.
include Cubic with OSE Linux, so
Yep.
it literally it's similar to the idea of a 3D printer printing more copies of itself, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. Excellent. Excellent. That sounds great. All right.
Yeah, man. Happy to help.
Yeah. Okay. So we quit here for now, and then I'll once we download this, then I'll give you feedback.
Yes,
Okay.
and I'll keep working on the punch list items I have, and we're working towards the having it ready for September.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. Excellent. No, this is great, Ray. Thank you. Thank you so much for your time and this explanation, and we can start playing with it also in house. Yep. Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah. See
Okay.
ya.
Thank you. Take care. Bye bye.